What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Food for Thought. We are questioning everything they've ever said, and today is going to be one of those days where I don't know where this is going, but I've just been, a lot of things have been popping up, and waking up is hard to do. And I help people reclaim their health for the most part. The people that I've helped with their diets, most of the time it's thinking, and we all get inundated with, is this good, is this bad, this healthy, this not. You look through online, it's not about going carnivore, it's not about being a vegan. And it's, this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. This is Anthony Stewart, Tony, if you will. And today I saw a great meme, and it sparked a lot of thoughts and a lot of conversation, a lot of internal stuff inside me. And it was posted by the carnivore gal, which I follow on Facebook. I would encourage you, anybody who's in the carnivore space, check her out on Facebook. But she posted a meme, and it was, your doctor says meat is bad, but hands you a prescription for a drug with 27 side effects. Make it make sense. So today we're going to make it make sense. Now, this may go deep. I have no idea where this is going to go, but I just wanted to, explain some things that we kind of always look at. We don't look at actually what is going on. We get polarized, good or bad, healthy or not. And how the hell did we get here? Why the hell does it matter what you eat? And I think this might lead into probably, in my opinion, the biggest deception, and hidden truths are hidden in the truth is hidden in plain sight. And is it a perfect storm of corporate greed and trickery? Is there a sinister, nefarious goal? And it's really difficult to put it into perspective. And I think that's the problem, is we look at things from our own perspective and our own belief systems. And I think that's where they get you. So if we look at it from a personal, human, God-given right to live aspect with nothing else on the table, do you believe you should be able to live and nourish and thrive as a human being, and based on nothing else? I'm in the opinion that I should. Now, when we get things pushed in our faces about, for the greater good, for, if you don't do this, we will. Well, looking at it from that standpoint, why is it that every single non-communicable disease and these conditions that are now created are growing exponentially? Now, you can argue how we got here, you can argue why that is, and it's happening. Now, there's some quotes that I wanted to sort of share with you. Now, one is by Henry Kissinger, which I find is probably makes me think as well. When he openly said, sorry, just let me scroll. I might edit this out, but I try not to edit these talks because they're just from the heart. Who controls the food supply controls the people. Think about that. This is a bureaucrat, a politician, if you will, somebody who's deeply in the governance of arguably geopolitical influence, who controls the food supply, controls the people. Are you being controlled? Are you being pushed something that's outside you? That now, who controls the energy can control whole continents, who controls money can control the world. So if you take those three things into perspective, look what's going on right now. Why is there a big push? Who cares if you're a carnivore? Who cares? I'll tell you who cares. The people that are benefiting of you not being a carnivore. And that leads us to monocrop subsidized agriculture. Who has all the seeds? Chemical companies, corporations. Who has all the chemicals that save the day so that you can grow your crops without any problems with any bugs and stuff eating your stuff? The same companies. Does it really matter if you get sick on that when they're doing this for them? Do they care about your health? Well, don't worry, because they are drug companies as well, and they're all intertwined. So they're controlling the food. And how would you liberate yourself from this cycle? Maybe unplug from it and eat whatever God and Mother Nature intended, not what some other company makes money on. Now, they need to maximize profit. So what would they do? They would introduce preservatives, additives that give the food shelf stability. They would give the food more substance to be more of something. And there you go. Look at this. Now we have a system that they're controlling. And what if I told you that 10 companies owned 75 to 85% of all the processed food? Everything on your grocery store shelves is owned by 10 companies. What if I told you that 3 companies own those 10 companies for the most part, in hidden in plain sight? And what if I told you that they also control the lobbies and the organizations that are deemed to protect us? They just interchangeably change back and forth. And you think it's about vegan or carnivore, but this is not. Now, if you look historically at farming practices, any small farmer would know how to maximize the crops and maximize the health of their families in the nuclear family. That would be why you would be growing things and raising animals, would be to feed you and your family. As soon as it becomes bigger than that, what is driving it? Production, money, more things. So wouldn't it make sense from their perspective to trick you into thinking that you need this stuff more than the stuff you actually need? It's a deception. It's a trick. I believe the reason why the agrarian revolution started anyway was to feed starving people. Now, wouldn't it be a great thing if we could trick the people into thinking that the food created to feed starving people was actually the food that you need, that's necessary and better for you than the food, than meat, we'll just say, for instance? Look beyond yourself. Look beyond what's going on. And questions lead to more questions. And you may never find the answers. But if you look at what's been said, meat causes colon cancer. Eat our fake stuff that's got a laundry list of ingredients. And I will argue that is an ultra processed food. They're telling you that for the greater good of the world, eat this instead of that because this is better. Now, there's so many things wrong with that, but not to mention these same people have been pushing a great reset. They talk about population control. And if you spiritual people think that is, look at Sadhguru. He will openly admit, and I do believe he's a globalist, that's my opinion, he wants to cut the population. How would you do that? Wouldn't it make sense to start the process and maximize profits all along the way? Infiltrate, penetrate cabinets of governments.
They all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, is that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the world. Grateful. That's true.
Infiltrate systems and people that are the guidelines, get people corrupted, influenced, and then trick them into thinking that they're doing good, while all the way, really, it's all about greed, profit, control. And it is horrifying when you start digging into it. I've looked into the history of pesticides. I've looked into the history of agriculture, farming practices. It goes really, really sinister really quickly. And it's stuff that I don't want to get into with, you look at the Monsanto and BASF. Yeah, they make cassette tapes when they were those, but they're a chemical company. And they were big, like kind of Nazi Germany stuff, Zyklone, whatever that yeah, the gas that was used in those chambers. These are the companies that are controlling our food. Just look at the history of Bayer. It's openly there for you. Look at the history of Monsanto. It's openly there for you. And these are the corporations and the companies that we're trusting with our health. Bayer, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, yet they're also leading our way with agriculture. Now, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not telling you what to do. But this stuff goes deep and way deeper than probably we can actually conceive. And I don't know the answers. I really don't. But I find it funny how people try to prove chemicals and pesticides and herbicides aren't that bad, but yet destroy the reputation of stuff that is good. And they've done it with meat and fat. It's simple. Butter comes with fat soluble vitamins. It's health food. What does canola come with? Glyphosate and like low uric or some urulic acid or something like that. That's a Canadian oil low acid. And they trick you. They say don't fry in fat and lard, fry in canola oil, even though they know that heat and light oxidize and damage these things. Excess heat turns it to trans fats. The same fats they tell you is bad and they limit in ingredients because they know it's so bad for us. They've proven it, but yet no one tells you that every time you heat and cool a deep fryer with canola oil, it's potentially changing to trans fat. Not to mention when you fry something and it cools down. This is all stuff that, you can argue the science all you want. You say all these seed oils are good for you or not. They weren't natural. They were created by man. They've only been around 100 plus years. Most of them were industrial purposes during wartime that got converted into food. And this logic is really hard to argue when you start to see it. So all the people that are defending these things, saying they're not that bad, who wants you to eat less and move more? The same people that know you can't do it. That's the trick. So they make food super addictive, and they say just a little bit is fine, but they know full well. Bet you can't have just one. It's not just this or that. This is the big picture. And once you start to wake up to this stuff, it starts to make sense. So hopefully, this is sorry for a little bit of a rant today, but we have to wake up and we have to stop arguing. We have to get back to basics, local, seasonal, as close to God and Mother Nature intended, whole food. If we don't, we continue down this path, and all these people looking for a savior, Savior's right inside your heart. That's where the Savior starts. That's who can save you? You. And all we have to do is start saying no together. Do we have to prove that this causes autism when it wasn't it wasn't involved naturally in our food supply? We put it there. Do we have to argue that? Do we have to argue that, well, it's a little bit of this is not that bad, but we don't look at things like bioavailability, bioaccumulation. You know what that means? It accumulates in your body. Do we have to really, really argue if microplastics are doing it or not? Because even if they might be, isn't that enough to start saving lives and start the process to go back to glass, paper, whatever, less chemicals? They won't let it happen. The only person that can change this is you and me, and we have to start saying no. And it's not about the carnivore diet. And I do believe most people that start to eat a predominant animal-based diet, whether we argue carbs or no carbs, it's not about that. It's about eliminating as much of these forever chemicals, these endocrine disrupting chemicals, these bioaccumulating things in our food supply that we can't study. You can study a time, a piece of time. You can study 2 weeks. You can study a month or a year, maybe. You can't study forever. And I believe, we are on our way to irreparable damage of planet Earth. And it's not climate change. If you think that humans living like humans is causing climate change, and animals living like animals are causing climate change, and it's not the polluters and the people that are making these products that are actually the problem, and they're blaming you for using them. And they're creating a new economy out of can't put a price on pollution. It's a trick. It doesn't exist. It's just like money. They created this value. It's not real. And that's a whole other topic. But if you don't start looking into your health and you are just on this snowball the wrong way, it's not about what you think. It's actually about the possibilities and the truths that are being hidden. And they're exposing themselves. We just can't see it. And once you look at everything, the history of these companies, the history of food, agriculture, anthropology, there's no cave paintings of broccoli. I love saying that. That one's a shout out to Carnivore Meals, my boy. Start listening and make your own decisions, because I can guarantee you they're making them for you. Sorry, this one was a little long, a little bit of a rant. Stay strong.